ESPN News, 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM dial nearest you. Plus, obviously, ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Also, ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. You saw it last night. You saw that show that James Harden put on display. James Harden, unquestionably the league leader right now for league MVP honors. Unquestionably one of the greatest scorers of this generation. Unquestionably the greatest scorer in the game of basketball today. Showed up at the Mecca last night, Madison Square Garden, the home turf of the New York Knicks, and showed out the way Kobe Bryant once did a few years ago. James Harden dropped 61. James Harden did what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted, to whoever he damn well pleased. And the Houston Rockets ended up escaping with a 114-110 victory over the New York Knicks, the relatively hapless New York Knicks, at Madison Square Garden last night. As a result, the Houston Rockets are 27-20. They're doing what they have been doing. We have seen it. We have witnessed it. We marvel at it every single day. You're just running out of superlatives to say about this brother. James Harden, 17 of 38 from the field. That's nearly 45%. Only connected on 5 of 23 pointers. Attempted 23 pointers. Ultimately hit 22 of 25 free throws. So had 25 free throws. Had 15 rebounds. 4 assists. 5 steals. And the Houston Rockets were a plus 19 when James Harden was on the floor. And just for some of you out there that don't understand, see, you can appreciate a lot of things. What I appreciate most about James Harden is that he's an MVP, playing like an MVP. He wasn't some one-year trick pony, some one-year wonder who suddenly disappeared and fell off the map. He's reminding you why he was the league MVP last year. He's also keeping the Houston Rockets relevant at the present moment, their 5th seed in the Western Conference playoff picture. But to watch this guy perform, to watch the kind of show that he puts on display, it's just something to marvel at. I'll tell you right now. I'm just going to read from this article. You can look at it on ESPN.com. The must-see numbers from James Harden's incredible hot streak. That's the headline for this article. Okay? We haven't seen a scoring streak like this since the 1960s. He had 36 points in the first half, extending his string of 30-point games long before halftime. I'm going to go on. It's the 5th time that Harden has scored at least 35 points and a half in his career. The only player with more such halves over the past 20 years is Kobe Bryant. Last night's 61-point effort was a career high, 61. It tied Kobe Bryant for the most by a visiting player at the current version of Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, that means it was more than Michael Jordan scored at Madison Square Garden. Remember when he came back out of retirement and dropped a double nickel on the New York Knicks? I was there. It was a sensational performance. The Garden, the modern-day version of Madison Square Garden, opened up in 1968. The 2 top scorers in Madison Square Garden history for a visiting player was Kobe Bryant and James Harden. Fifth player in NBA history to record multiple 60-point games, joining Elgin Baylor, who had 3, Michael Jordan, who had 4, Kobe Bryant, who had 6, and Wilt Chamberlain, who had 32. Harden also tied Rick Barry with his 14th career 50-point game. Only Baylor, 17, Bryant, 25, Jordan, 31, and Wilt Chamberlain with 118 had more 50-point games. The 61-point game last night gave Harden 21 consecutive games with at least 30 points. passing Wilt Chamberlain for the fourth longest streak in NBA history. Still trails 3 different Chamberlain streaks, including a record-setting 65-game run Chamberlain put up in 1961-62, the season he averaged 50.4 points per game. Wednesday night, last night, was the 5th consecutive game in which all of his points came without the benefit of an assist. So James Harden has scored 261 points without an assist to assist him in scoring those points, which means he scored it on his own, which means basically Mike D'Antoni is giving him the ball and saying, just do you. That's what's going on here. He's recorded games of 57, 58, and 61 points. No other player in the past 20 years has scored more than 53 points without the benefit of an assist. He's averaging 36.3 points per game this season and 45 in the month of January. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing to talk about here. James Harden is on a run to capture a second consecutive league MVP honors. He is nothing short of sensational offensively. He can put the ball on the floor. He's got a nasty handle. He's got a mid-range game. He's got a long-range game. He can pull up from 30. He can pull up from 20 or 15. Oh, by the way, he can get to the free throw line anytime he wants to because he's a magician, a master at drawing fouls, evidenced by the 25 free throws he ended up taking last night. He's that gifted. Now, what does all of that amount to? My response would be certainly nothing more than last year. Could the Houston Rockets end up going to the Western Conference Finals? Sure. Would they win? Hell no. They beat Golden State. You cancel that. Because in case no one has noticed, Steph Curry's averaging nearly 30, 48% shooting from the field, 44% shooting from three-point range. Oh, by the way, did you see that Klay Thompson's shooting slump is over? Oh, by the way, did you notice that when Steph Curry or Klay Thompson is quietly doing something, or rather making noise, doing a whole bunch, some dude by the name of Kevin Durant just quietly strolls along, minding his good old business, and he's dropping 27. Really, religiously. I mean, you just can't make this up. When you look at Kevin Durant and what he's bringing to the table, I'm telling you right now, you got to marvel at it. I don't know what y'all been watching, but I'm telling you something right now. I'm looking at Kevin Durant and some of these numbers, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, just quietly. This is Kevin Durant. 29, 24, 22, 28, 27, 30, 24. This is what he's been doing. Just quietly going about the business of minding his own business and being incredibly efficient at what he does. 90% from the free throw line, 51% from the field, 38% from three-point range. That's Kevin Durant. Averaging 28, 7, and 6 this year. This is why Klay Thompson's exploded. This is why Steph Curry's exploding. Kevin Durant quietly, I'm averaging 28, 7, and 6. You just can't make this up. I don't give a damn what James Harden is doing. One-on-one basketball with James Harden dancing on everybody and destroying people is not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. It will not happen. It will not happen. But having said that, that's not even my biggest concern. I have a bigger concern. And the bigger concern is that of the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James is scheduled to miss his 15th game coming up. This would suffice as the most significant injury in the career of LeBron James. At some point in time, he's going to come back. At some point in time, the Lakers are going to be a better basketball team because he is back. They're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to miss the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. There's no need to worry about that. But here's where things get very, very interesting. If you are LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, hasn't the time arrived where you should be worried about what talent you can get to join LeBron James in L.A.? LeBron James has faith in Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. LeBron James is aware of what needs to be done. We get all of that. The flip side to it is that if you're a marquee free agent as beautiful as the Southern California sunshine is, and the palm trees, and Rodeo Drive, and the Beverly Wilshire, and Venice Beach, and Palisades Parkway, and LA Live, the list goes on and on. As nice as all of that is, how attractive are the Los Angeles Lakers to you, Anthony Davis, to a Kawhi Leonard, to a Kevin Durant, to a Kyrie Irving, etc.? How attractive are the Los Angeles Lakers if the health of LeBron James suddenly becomes a huge question mark? Now, if there's anybody that I have faith in to recover, it's LeBron James. No matter what we want to marvel at, what we should marvel at most is the man's willingness to take care of himself, to never cheat you with effort, and to always take care of his body. But we can't ignore the fact that this is arguably the most, not even arguable, the most significant injury of LeBron James' career. And I don't know where we go from. I don't know what we take from that. But I don't believe it's a foregone conclusion that the marquee free agents out there are going to clamor to L.A. if LeBron doesn't show that he's healthy and ready to go. So you can sit him out and you can take all the necessary precautions, and I'm not going to knock that. But at some point in time, we need to see the king. We need to see King James. We need to see him back on the court. It's just that simple. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. As a side note, my condolences to the New York Knicks, who continue to find ways to lose games. And I guess that's the plan, because you want to position yourself to get the most ping pong balls, which would be Zion Williamson. And I get that part. I truly, truly do. But there's no guarantee that you'll get him, because those ping pong balls for the draft lottery. Having said all of that, I don't know what to make of these Knicks. I'm very worried. I'm worried about the Knicks' ability to get a marquee to join Kristaps Porzingis, who we haven't seen much of. I'm skeptical about whether or not the New York Knicks are going to land someone of substance to join their franchise. Because the truth of the matter is, there's nothing that attractive about them right now, if we're being honest. There's nothing that attractive about them right now. And with that being the reality, I'm kind of wondering, where the hell do they go from here? I'm kind of wondering about it. Because as I look at the Knicks right now, and the dollars that they have on their books, you got Kanter at $18.6 million. He wants out. He wants to be traded because he's tired of being benched. We got Tim Hardaway, who I think is worth his dollars. Tim Hardaway could play. He's making $17.3 million this year, $18.1 next year, and a player option at $18.9 in a couple of years. I think he's earned that. We wonder about Porzingis and whether or not he even wants to come back. You've got Kevin Knox, who started off slow but has been balling. But if you're the New York Knicks, what do you have to sell? What do you have to offer? And the reason why I asked that question is because, ladies and gentlemen, the Brooklyn Nets won their 5th game in a row last night, beating Orlando Magic. The Brooklyn Nets have been balling. Somebody better pay attention. Somebody better pay attention to the job Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson and those boys are doing. You better pay attention. And oh, by the way, when you look at their books right now, they're expected to have over $60 million available in cap space. They're expected to have that. D'Angelo Russell is balling. Give the man his respect where it's due. L.A., how you feel about him being gone now in favor of Alonzo Ball? How do you feel about that? I don't feel good about it if I'm L.A. D'Angelo Russell is balling, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody better pay attention. Jared Allen, this shot blocker extraordinaire, means only making $2 million. And he's due to make 2.3 next year. Better ask somebody. They gave Spencer Dinwiddie some money, but guess what? It ain't going to blow away your cap. It's not going to prevent them from doing what they need to do. DeMar Carroll is at $15.4 million, but he's in the last year of his deal. I'm just looking at them right now. They bought out Kenneth Faried so he could go to Houston. Look, they got some money. And they got a young team that can play. With a coach that can coach. With an executive that knows how to run a basketball operations. And I got news for you. When you look at the tree of Popovich, because of the Budenholzers of the world that come from him. The Monty Williams of the world that comes from him. The Brett Browns in Philly that come from Greg Popovich. That's a hell of a lot better tree than Bill Belichick's in New England. I'm telling you right now. I mean, this stuff is impressive. The Brooklyn Nets have scared the hell out of me because I've been a lifelong Knicks fan, but I am fair. I've said it last week. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as they keep proving it. I'm incredibly impressed with what I see the Brooklyn Nets doing. This is something special. Blew out Sacramento by 29 the other day. I was raving about them in Sacramento, and then they said, hold the horses. Don't put Sacramento in our class. Watch what we do against them, and blew them out. Somebody better pay attention to these Nets. And nobody should be paying attention to them more than the Knicks. Because if the Nets end up getting one of these marquee guys and the Knicks get no one, the Knicks are finished. If the Knicks don't get the number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall, where they're in position to draft a Zion Williamson or an R.J. Barrett, plus they don't get a marquee free agent this offseason, oh, my God. We got a problem. We got a problem. I'm just letting you know. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let me transition to a different subject. Because I was a bit annoyed this morning, and I'm just going to share why. Derek Carr is the starting quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, and he took the liberty of going on Twitter last night and going off about myself and my man Max Kellerman on First Take, which airs every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We airs from noon to 2. On ESPN2, plus throughout the night. Airs on 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Max and I were on First Take. Max brought up something about David Carr. Said that it looked like he had quit. Those kind of things. Derek Carr obviously took offense to that. Derek Carr went on Golic and Wingo after his tweets last night. And here is Derek Carr on Golic and Wingo talking about Max Kellerman more so than me. Listen to this.
He questioned my desire and want to. This man has never talked to me in my entire life. This man has never worked out with me. He's never woke up early with me to study, to go and play hurt and all these kind of things. And so, you can say whatever you want about performance and all that. That's his job, and I understand that. But when you start talking about a man's character and want to and desire, that's just a different story. And I don't think there's anybody holding these guys accountable when they go off on those kind of tangents. And so I'm just someone that loves the truth. I got love for the guy, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't be held accountable when you are just completely wrong about someone's desire or want to. I love Oakland. I love our team, and I've never done anything but give the city my very best. He's more than welcome to come to the house. I got a spare bedroom he can come hang out in, and he can get this work in with me. I'm completely open to that. And then I think that would change his mind. And again, I ignore everything. Yeah, I ignore everything that anybody's ever said, good or bad. It doesn't bother me. But when you start talking about me as a man, that's stuff I'm going to have to explain to my kids if they ever Google search it. And, that's just stuff I don't want to deal with. And that's just stuff that ain't true. And so that's the only problem I had, is that, you can get me to a certain point, but that was just a little too much.
That's what Derek Carr had to say after his tweets. I personally took issue with the tweets that he sent last night. I can understand anybody coming to the defense of their own manhood. I didn't think Max questioned that. I think he talked about what he saw and said that's how it looked to him. But nevertheless, I took issue with what Derek Carr had to say. he said to Dana White, president of the UFC, hey, how do I challenge a couple of these clowns on TV to a fight? I think we should start a business together where pro athletes can challenge some of these people to an octagon fight until they give us an answer. You don't know me. Stop lying. Then he goes on to say, it's because I blocked them both for talking trash about our team. Those two clowns don't know anything about this game. Would love to actually sit and break down film with these two on TV just to show their viewers how incompetent, lacking qualification they are about our game. That's what Derek Carr said. This was my response on First Take. Do we have that, Cat? Play what I said on First Take this morning, please.
I will meet up with Derek Carr anytime, any day, anywhere to discuss what his career has been. And since he said he loves facts, Derek Carr said he loves facts. Let me give him to you. Derek Carr ranked 27 of 33 quarterbacks in the National Football League this year. Yeah. 48.9 QBR. All right. Passer rating ranked 18th out of 33. In his 5 years in the National Football League, 4 have been losing seasons. He's had one. He broke his fibula with an MVP. And I recall both Max and myself acknowledging this dude is in line to win MVP before he went down with that broken fibula. We acknowledge that. But since that moment in time, you haven't been that damn impressive. Pick six, interceptions, underthrown balls, throwing balls in the ground, needing 8 yards for a first down, throwing for 3 yards, making questionable decisions, starting off the season 1-8. Those are facts. Now, according to Derek Carr, he should love me because I just gave facts.
I didn't stop there. I wanted to save the rest for this radio show. You see, it's not about Derek Carr. It's a bigger issue. Derek Carr is emblematic of that issue. First of all, you play in public. You're not playing in private. So everybody's there to watch your exploits or lack thereof. Number two, not only is that the truth and that's the case, but also it helped get you paid. When we were talking about Derek Carr as an MVP candidate, he had nothing to say. When we talked about him being worth the $25 million that he's getting paid per season, he didn't complain about that. He didn't say anything about that. My issue with Derek Carr, however, has nothing to do with him and his insults. It's the clownish part or whatever. When you say stuff like that, okay, fine. What you bringing up your kids for? So in other words, you're worried about your kids Google searching somebody questioning your character. But you call us clowns and challenge folks to a fight in the UFC for crying out loud because you don't like what was said about you. Why don't you grow the hell up? How about that? The fact of the matter is you're a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Everything that's happened to the Raiders this season is not your fault. We understand it was a questionable offensive line. We understand that new things schematically may not necessarily have vibed with you initially the way you would have liked, that might have contributed to a 1-8 start. We understand that there's a potpourri of things that come into the equation and that it's not a one-man game. But the reality of the situation is you're being paid like somebody who can overcome those things. You're being paid like somebody whose talent is so elite that you're worth getting rid of Khalil Mack. You're worth getting rid of Amari Cooper. You're worth this franchise building around you. But you haven't gotten it done. 5 years in the National Football League, you've had one winning season. Period. Those are the facts. Now, you got guys that'll come out and they'll sit up there, love to take you down. You don't know anything about football. We know what we need to know. We can sit up there with facts to stare you in the face. You'd still deny it. We can sit up there and say, you know what, you ain't got an offensive line. Or you got receivers that can't catch. Or you got running backs that can't run. You deny that because you don't want to call out your teammates. Oh, your coach can't coach. I'm not saying that about John Gruden because I know he can coach. But we could say something like that. You still wouldn't admit it if it were true because that would be calling out one of the guys you go to war with, supposedly. So you're not going to be honest about it anyway. And not only that, it's amazing how you talk about us. I guess it's because we win. I guess it's because we get ratings. I guess it's because we resonate. That's why you would talk about us. But in the end, what it comes down to is that you're a bit too sensitive for a quarterback in the National Football League. And if you're going to be sensitive to the point where you're going to sit up there and talk about protecting your kids from Googling stuff about you where your reputation could be impugned, how come you didn't think about Max's kids? How come you think about mine? When you call clowns and you sat up there and challenged us to a fight. And by the way, if you're a big boy and you big, bold, and bad, how come you didn't try some UFC fighter to a fight? How about the NFL analyst who played football who called you out? Because if it's the NFL Network, it's Fox, it's CBS, it's NBC, it's the ESPN. I can't recall a damn network or a piece of personnel on any of those networks that has something nice to say about the Oakland Raiders this season. And last time I checked, most of the heat was coming in the direction of John Gruden. So all of these things are things to consider. And all of these things are things to wonder about. But in the end, here's what it comes down to. Derek Carr, do your damn job. Your job is to win, period. That's why you get paid the big bucks. In my chosen profession, I'm winning. I'm winning. Are you? Did you do your job? Did you? I don't recall that. Not in recent memory. Derek Carr can play. Derek Carr is no scrub. Derek Carr got paid because Derek Carr could play, and he went 12-3 in over 15 games before breaking his fibula. That's the only good year that Derek Carr has had in the National Football League, period. Win some damn games before you start talking about somebody. Because I ain't going nowhere. But you know something? Neither is a whole bunch of NFL folks who talked about you. You didn't mention them. You didn't call them clowns. And we quoted them when talking about you. But you left them out. I wonder why that is. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Peloton is a game changer.